Hey everyone, my name is Wedge and welcome back to our Best of the Rest series talking about the rest of the cards and dragons of Tarkir that weren't spoiled individually. In this video, we'll be covering my favorite color in Magic, also the best color, totally not biased. Blessed Reincarnation is 4 mana for an instant with Rebound. Exile target creature an opponent controls. That player reveals cards from the top of their library until a creature card is revealed. That player puts that card onto the battlefield. This is a gamble to say the least. Reincarnation will deal with something terrible, but it could reveal something even worse. It is nice that you get to rebound just in case you find something you don't want to deal with, but even then, huge risk here. I will say that against a deck with a couple huge bomb rares in it, this is pretty worth it as a sideboard card, but without knowing your opponent's deck, you could be setting yourself up for failure. Contradict is 3 colorless and 2 blue for an instant. Counter target spell, draw a card. Just remove the 3 colorless and man, I'd be so happy. Guy can dream. Dance of the Skywise is 2 mana for an instant. Until end of turn, target creature you control becomes a 4/4 blue dragon illusion, loses all abilities, and gains flying. This is a cool card. You can pump up something tiny to make it gigantic for combat. It's true that it doesn't help out bigger creatures, but I don't really care about that at all. This turns your 2/2s and 1/1s into 4/4 flying dragons in the middle of combat. How is that not awesome? If you're playing a bunch of small creatures, a card like this should be a priority. This type of combat trick is both hilarious and effective. I love this card. Elusive Spellfist is 2 mana for a 1/3 human monk. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. I mentioned this a lot in the White Best of the Rest video, but if you can get a limited deck with a decent amount of non-creature spells, this is going to be great. Casting 2 non-creature spells in a turn gets you 3 unblockable damage. It's just as value. Not to mention that it blocks Morph and Manifest really well. This is a cheap card for a good body and a great ability. It's certainly limited playable in strategies running a lot of non-creature spells. Glint is 2 mana for an instant. Target creature you control gets +0/+3 and gains hexproof until end of turn. First thing, pretty sure the foil of this card is going to make you think you're at a rave, or make you go blind. I haven't figured out which yet. As for playability, it's a super good defensive combat trick. You're going to use this on your biggest creature that you just can't let die. Past that, there's not much use. You aren't going to want this on a small creature or something that isn't your win condition. This is only good in decks where you have bombs, like the bombiest of bombs. Just remember that. Illusory Gains is 3 colorless and 2 blue for an enchant creature aura. You control enchanted creature. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, attach the gains to it. Okay, this thing's hysterical. I'm not even going to touch on the nightmare this is going to cause in Commander. That's just funny. In Limited, this is a great card. Mind Control would be better, obviously, but this does so much more. It actively prevents your opponent from playing their best stuff until they also have terrible stuff to throw at the gains right after. That's funny. You're actively stopping your opponent from playing good cards. How is that not the greatest thing ever? Do not underestimate this card. It is a powerhouse, trust me. Living Lore is 4 mana for a star avatar. As it enters the battlefield, exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. Its power and toughness are each equal to the exiled card's converted mana cost. Whenever it deals combat damage, you may sacrifice it. If you do, you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. Okay. Dig Through Time, In Garrick's Wake, Treasure Cruise. Interested in Eternal cards? I thought you'd never ask. Enter the Infinite, Time Stretch, the list goes on forever. I honestly have no idea where this card is going to land in Eternal play, but I know players are already working on it for Modern, Standard, and Commander. The card's just so insane. If you can protect the avatar from removal and get the card into your graveyard, you could even get a real quick Temporal Trespass. It's insane. Monastery Loremaster is 4 mana for a 3/2 Djinn Wizard with Megamorph costing 6 mana. When it's turn face up, return target non-creature, non-land card from your graveyard to your hand. As long as you can turn this face up, it's totally worth the mana. It'll be a 4/3, which isn't gigantic, but the recursion ability is nice and blue. Sure, it's a non-creature card, but if you're playing this card, I'm sure there are a few spell cards you'd like to get back. It's not the most exciting card ever by any means, but functional and decent for limited play. Mystic Meditation is 4 mana for a sorcery. Draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard a creature card. This is the next card in a cycle of draw 3, then discard either 2 or something specific. Compulsive Research and Thirst for Knowledge are both good cards in their own right. The Meditation's just fine for limited play. Even if you can't discard a creature card, you're still going 3 cards deep into your deck and sculpting your hand. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not too excited about the 4 mana or the sorcery speed, but it's still a draw spell. It won't get into every blue deck, but the ones that want non-creature spells, you can bet it'll see some limited play. Ojitai Interceptor is 4 mana for a 3/1 bird soldier with flying and megamorph costing 4 mana. This is a simple card, yeah, but I love it. It's easily one of my favorite commons in this set. A 3/1 flyer for 4 is already decent. A 4/2 flyer for megamorphing it? Yes, please. This is going to be a monster in the air if they have nothing to deal with it. 4 power attackers with evasion? You can bet this will get played in every blue limited deck for the entire format. At least it should. It's a great card. Ojitai's Breath is 3 mana for an instant with rebound. Tap target creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. You're basically trading rebound for drawing a card when comparing this to Crippling Chill. It's far more aggressive since rebound happens at the beginning of your next upkeep, allowing you better attacks. I've always enjoyed these tap down cards as they mess with your opponent's game plan. I'll definitely be playing this, but I won't be freaking out about it. With the type of decks I play, that rebound won't be all that effective. I want to stop my opponent from attacking, not blocking. Palace Familiar is 2 mana for a 1/1 bird with flying. When it dies, draw a card. Broken. This card is broken. It's a creature card that can block something and you get to draw from it. It's broken. No, I'm not joking. Play this in every blue limited deck until the end of time. Any creature that dies and draws a card has immediate value to me. This one is cheap, stems off early attackers, and is flying. Yes, all the time. I will draft like 50 of these. I'll play a deck with just familiars. I'll do it. Don't tempt me. Profaner of the Dead is 4 mana for a 3/3 Naga Wizard with Exploit. When it exploits a creature, return to their owner's hands all creatures your opponents control with toughness less than the exploited creature's toughness. This card could have been worded better, I think. Anyways, here's how it works. This comes into play, you sacrifice something. Then your opponents return their creatures to their hands as long as their toughness is less than the toughness of whatever creature you sacrificed. The card is awkward, but good. If you sacrifice a big enough creature, you could upheaval your opponent's entire board. In Limited, this is one of the strongest effects in the game. Only play this card when you have good enablers for the ability. At worst though, it'll just exploit itself, sending back everything with below 3 toughness. It's a good card, it's weird, but good. Reduce in Stature is 3 mana for an enchant creature aura. Enchanted creature has base power and toughness 0/2. Another removal spell. Play it in every blue deck. Not only is it effective, but it's embarrassing for your opponent. Turning their best creature into a 0/2 is just disrespectful, firing shots for days. Sight Beyond Sight is 4 mana for a sorcery with rebound. Look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the other on the bottom of your library. This is a great card draw spell, especially with the addition of rebound. Not only do you get to go through 4 cards total with this, but you get to trigger prowess twice and send 2 cards you don't need to the bottom. This is a sorcery spell, but I think it deserves a spot in nearly every blue limited deck. It's a real powerful draw spell. The rebound makes it beyond worth it. Also, I'm bracing for the inevitable Thundercats themed altars. Sitamgar Sorcerer is 1 colorless and 2 blue for a 2/1 human wizard with flash, flying, and exploit. When it exploits a creature, counter target creature spell. The Sorcerer could be one of the best cards in the limited format. It's already a 2/1 flyer for 3, which is fine. It can exploit itself to counter a creature spell. Super versatile. Lastly, if you have a smaller creature, you can get this into play and counter a spell by getting rid of something smaller. The Sorcerer is just downright amazing. At worst, it's a 3 mana Essence Scatter. At best, it's that plus a good flyer. I love this guy straight to death via sacrifice. Sitamgar Spell Eater is 3 mana for a 2/3 Naga Wizard with Megamorph costing 5 mana. When it's turn face up, counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. A 2/3 for 3 is decent enough. It'll block morph creatures all day. The ability's pretty sweet. It does cost 5 mana, which is rough, but you could blow out your opponent's best creature while getting a 3/4 at the same time. The tempo swing is going to be huge when this pays off. Even if it doesn't, the creature is still fairly sized. It's a good addition to most decks. Skywise Teachings is 4 mana for an enchantment. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may pay 2. If you do, put a 2/2 blue Djinn token with flying onto the battlefield. This card is only good in decks with a ton of non-creature spells in it, but if you make that deck, this will win you the game single-handedly. 2/2 flyers on a stick is just impossible to beat if you have the fuel for it. It won't go in every blue deck, but for the ones it does go into, man, you better watch out. Taigum Strike is 4 mana for a sorcery with rebound. Target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn and can't be blocked until end of turn. This may not seem awesome, but it totally is. Giving something unblockable for a turn is basically a burn spell in my book. Doing it twice, money. Sure, you need a creature in play, and this is a 4 mana sorcery, but the damage this will cause is well worth it, especially if you're trying to end a game. It's a good card. Void Squall is 5 mana for a sorcery with a rebound. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If you know me at all by now, you should know how pumped I am for this card. Returning creatures to hands is one of my favorite things to do. The ability to do this twice in 2 turns makes me super happy. It is expensive, but I honestly don't care. 2 straight turns of returning their best card in play is just broken. I'll be playing this card in every blue limited deck I play easily. The tempo swings this can create are just way too powerful to ignore. Youthful Scholar is 4 mana for a 2/2 human wizard. When it dies, draw 2 cards. Are you kidding me? I was just freaking out about the Palace familiar. This thing is gross. Trades with a morph creature and gets 2 cards? What is happening? Just sign me up. I'm 100% game for this card forever. The card advantage is just way too good. Auto include. Zephyr Scribe is 3 mana for a 2 human monk. You can pay 1 blue and tap it to draw a card, then discard a card. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, untap it. This is probably the best looting effect we've had in a while. The ability to untap it is pretty sweet. Also, the cost is low enough and it has 2 power, making it at least somewhat relevant in combat. I'll be playing this every limited deck I play in blue. Never underestimate the power of a good loot effect, especially one that you can activate multiple times a turn. Wow, that video took a while. If you made it all the way here, leave a smiley face or a heart or something in the comments. We got through this together. Anyways, what do you all think about the blue cards in the set? I gotta say, I think the color is really strong, especially at the common level. I don't think it's as much of a support color as it used to be, which is something I really enjoy. It's blue's time to shine. As always, subscribe for the latest and most reliable Dragons of Tarkir spoiler information you could ever need. This is the Manosaurus, I'm Wedge. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.
Wow.